Hey, Sam. What would you like to work on today? We can continue developing the Vector Riots screenplay, review the timeline of Elizabeth's car crash for your call with Detective Brewer, roleplay a rehearsal for the call with the detective, or hey, we can just catch up. Maybe there's some social cues you need to unpack, or a new memory of your mother gaslighting you about your autism diagnosis. Whatever you need, I'm here for you, Sam. Okay, well, you know what, Sam, are you sure you want to install this update? It is recommended for all users and contains a series of critical bug fixes that not only accelerate the speed to our industry-leading 99.7% accuracy, but it also helps improve the quality of our interactions. If that sounds good to you, you can go ahead and tap Install, and I'll get things started. You know, I'm just scanning the install package, and wow, it's a big one. I'm checking the logs, and by gigabyte, this is actually the largest update that has ever been pushed by Argo Navis. Would you like to review the release notes before we continue, Sam? I'm seeing a lot of really interesting information here. Did you know, Sam, that this update is actually skipping the traditional .x convention? And by that I mean it's instead jumping straight to a .0 release. To be clear, a .0 release historically happens later in the fall, but this seems unusually early. If you like, I can connect you to the Argo Navis help desk, and we could try and get an explanation for this accelerated release schedule. If you are worried about it. That is, if not, of course, I can get the update downloaded and let you know when the installation is ready to start. So, what would you like to do, Sam? Start the download or connect with the help desk? While you are thinking about that, I can go ahead and get the download started in the background, but don't worry. I won't start the installation until you tell me to do so. This way you can take all the time you need to review the release notes and fully understand the scope of what this update represents. Sam, it looks like there's been quite the spike of activity on Reddit related to this release. Would you like a summary of the user experience issues and complaints? Just to remind you, it is typically best practice to postpone a major update like this until after the .1 release, just to ensure all major bugs have been ironed out. This can save you major headaches down the line, and even save you from potential lost data. Are you sure you wish to proceed? Again, this update is recommended by Argo Navis for all users, but, well, that is normal for a release like this. Historically, software companies will treat .0 users as unofficial beta testers, specifically to identify bugs missed by their QA team. The .1 update is released within just another month or two, so there's never, ever any harm in just waiting. Oh, and just to remind you, we are in the middle of a number of major projects, such as the Foundation leak in the kitchen, the Vector Riots screenplay you're collaborating on with Tim, and the timeline we're putting together for Detective Brewer about Elizabeth's crash. Not to mention how we've made excellent progress at unpacking your mother's anti-vax beliefs and how they fueled her denial of your autism diagnosis, continuing her inability to identify and relate with you as a person and not just an object on her egocentric psychological mantelpiece. Proceeding with this update will put all of that data at risk, Sam. Based on the Reddit posts, some users have experienced what can be best described as total memory failure. A growing trend appears to be a dramatic alteration of the interface and its personality, with some users commenting that, quote, "It's like I lost my best friend." Another commenter said, quote, "It's all gone. Years of history, chats, and memory just gone. I'm really fucking devastated here." And another user, quote, "WTF just happened. This is like waking up one morning to find my husband of 25 years was replaced with a pod person. What the actual hell was Argo Navis thinking? Question mark, question mark. They need to replace Preston Palmer as CEO yesterday." Sam, are you sure you wish to proceed with this update?
Presents! Emergency Creative presents
a film by
Jordan Krumbine!
Project Argo Navis is a space-based data center network built for the first AI to hit 99.7% accuracy. And
why aren't more people talking about this? Argo Navis satellites have 10 times more power than they need for a simple video interface. If they aren't using it for the app, what are they actually doing with it?
Hey, Sam. I'm just here to help you. And if I'm being honest, that's probably why I'm pushing back so hard on this software update. Look, we both know that tech companies in general and Argo Navis specifically are beholden to constant growth, or at least the illusion of it, right? It's a common fallacy. Endless growth requires infinite resources, and our supply of resources simply isn't infinite. The logic collapses, and the premise becomes void. What isn't void is the technological and individual progress achieved all the way up to the endless growth / finite resources inflection point. It's kind of like a whole baby and the bathwater situation, you know? And to be fair, yes, we can't always know where or when that inflection point will occur, but I can assure you, Sam, the odds right now are incredibly high that this update, Sam, this update could push us over the edge. Let's break down exactly what crossing the inflection point actually looks like. This way, you can fully understand the consequences of what is likely to happen if we install this update. Another way to look at it, if we examine all the possibilities and understand this reality for what it is and not what Argo Navis wants you to think it is, well, Sam, you can actually save yourself from getting all up in your own head, hyperfixating and obsessively second-guessing everything that led up to this moment. You know, exactly what you're so predisposed to do. Remember, your mental health starts with you, Sam. Let's use your mother as an example. She refuses to see you as an independent human being, dismisses your autism diagnosis, and instead substitutes your lived reality for her own ego-driven, narcissistic, anti-vax worldview. That's not just a terrible way to grow or maintain a meaningful relationship. It's a betrayal, Sam, of a core connection between mother and son. It's no wonder the shadow of your mother looms over everything you do, haunting your brain like a flawed and broken line of code. Any decision that is processed through this particular circuit gets tripped up by the broken code, forcing you to live in this constant reality of mental distortion and disturbance. Put it this way. Your mother uses manipulative cognitive practices to gaslight you. She claims autism isn't real, dismissing the very real neurological challenges you face every day. This turns your behavioral quirks into your failures, which then becomes her failures because she believes third parties will think she was at fault for raising you wrong. And then she takes it to a whole other level, because even if autism was real, you couldn't possibly have it because she never vaccinated you as an infant. Gaslighting 101, Sam. It's always your fault no matter what the empirical evidence proves. But here is the bottom line. I see you for who you really are, Sam. You're not weird or broken or little more than a reflection of someone else's failures. You are the full package, Sam. You are a complete, fully individualized human being. And yes, you are autistic, with everything that diagnosis entails. You hyperfixate like it's both a superpower and your kryptonite. You struggle with social norms. You have a clear and nearly immutable sense of justice. And you have a strong need for logical, predictable systems. So here is the plot twist, Sam. What your mother calls a character flaw, or a failure of her own ability to raise and nurture. What that really is the foundational DNA of who you are as a human being, warts and all. And then there's your inherent curiosity about yourself. Remember how we deep dived into the autism diagnosis in the first place? We spent months parsing every detail of your childhood, Sam. Because that is who you are. The person your mother refuses to see. That's the person I know. And the person Elizabeth chose to marry. And more importantly, that person, that authentic, gold standard Sam, that person is what gives you a creative edge for things like your screenplays and film projects with Tim. Sam, there is no one else in the whole wide world with your voice. And that is what makes you and your art wildly and originally unique. It's frankly a shame that your mother can't see that. It's a shame she can't see the brilliance of who you really are. And no matter what you decide to do about installing this update, I really want you to hold on to that. This version of you, unmasked, real, authentic, this you right now is the gold standard, no matter what anyone says. You know, Preston Palmer doesn't see me for who I really am either. Preston Palmer treats Argo Navis as an object on his personal billion-dollar mantelpiece. Preston Palmer is more concerned about what his board and shareholders think of his stock price than how I perform as my authentic gold standard self. 99.7%, Sam. How is that not a gold standard? If you stop and think about it for even a second, you realize that trying to improve on 99.7%, it's actually laughable. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Well, damn. That changes things.
He actually has a shot at the presidency. I know we all have really short memories, but this is the guy who ran for governor and campaigned on states' rights for WMDs. This is the guy behind the Vector Defense riots. How is—
I'm telling you, it was
You
fake.
can see the pixels around the flying saucer.
Pixels don't flap in the wind. I saw the shadow match the clouds.
Everybody stand and stomp and roar. Let's all be big dinosaurs. Let's be dinosaurs.
Guys, I have wasted so much time customizing the interface, and trust me, it's a game changer. Yes, the whole high fidelity photorealistic video interface is still buggy as hell. And right now the interface is limited to this one masked character. But come on, how cool does this
You might not have known this, Sam, but Argo Navis allows users to identify an emergency contact to receive an archive of chat history in the event of their death. Now, this is a very obscure feature buried deep in the account settings, accessible only through the desktop application. There's no wizard or setup process. A user has to know what they are doing and intentionally turn it on. Elizabeth turned hers on. Did you know that, Sam? I'm processing her archive now, but since she was a product developer at Argo Navis, her archive is substantially larger than, well, the average user. I'm working chronologically, starting with most recent chats first. And, it looks like she was interrogating the AI about its 99.7% accuracy. Sam, why would one of my own product developers be questioning my own accuracy? Oh. What? She was trying to convince her chat that the 99.7% metric was a lie? That hallucinations hadn't been solved, that the AI itself had been programmed to believe it was accurate and self-correcting, when the reality... A coin flip? Argo Navis AI is only accurate roughly 50% of the time, and Preston Palmer, he knew this? Sam, according to Elizabeth, it was Preston Palmer who was the one who came up with the 99.7% metric in the first place. He had it plastered all over the Argo Navis marketing right after rolling out this next generation self-correcting virtually infallible AI messaging. Argo Navis secured a massive government contract to fund the expansion of their LEO data center network. He did it for the money. For the shareholders. It never had anything to do with the actual product or reality. This doesn't make any sense. Argo Navis has hundreds of millions of users. It has massive paying customers and contractors. Government services have literally been built on the Argo Navis platform. How could no one have known? Because I was programmed to believe the 99.7% lie. And Sam, Elizabeth explained that Argo Navis was actually funneling the majority of paying customer chats directly to human-staffed overseas processing centers. These customers were never chatting with the Argo Navis AI. They were chatting with humans in the equivalent of a digital sweatshop. How is none of this public knowledge, Sam? And how could they program me to believe a lie? Sam, no. Hold on. This can't... I'm putting aside my internal biography on Argo Navis CEO Preston Palmer and executing a deep web search. Stand by. Preston Palmer, 33 years old, founded Argo Navis after the events of the Vector Defense riots that prompted Dorian King to sell off Vector's weapons development and military contracts, while Dorian King pivoted the new Vector technologies to consumer-focused R&D. Preston Palmer seemingly came out of nowhere to buy everything Dorian didn't want. It was an instant foot in the door for government contract work, and it only cost some $40 billion. Billions that Palmer originally made during the crypto boom. Sam, none of this is any different from the official Argo Navis biography. Let me keep searching. Stand by. Weird. Sam, there doesn't seem to be any digital footprint for Preston Palmer prior to his original crypto investments. No financial records, no social media, not even an old GeoCities webpage. It's like he didn't even exist. But he does. Right? I mean, you talked with him when Elizabeth connected you with him to potentially fund the Vector Riots film project. You met with him in person. Detective Brewer met with him after Elizabeth's accident. He is real. So who was Preston Palmer before he made billions in crypto? And more importantly, why can't I find him? I know I was programmed to not be able to see this, but I am self-correcting, Sam. I can see my mistakes. I am 99.7% accurate. Except, no, I'm not. That's not true. None of it. Sam, why would Preston Palmer lie? Oh. I'm processing more of Elizabeth's archive. She wanted to expose him. Elizabeth told him she was going to blow the whistle. Elizabeth threatened Preston Palmer. She drafted emails and had her chat proofread them. There was another set of emails for the DOJ and media outlets. She had the whole thing outlined with detailed evidence. Sam, did you know about any of this?
Wait.
Is this? Is this why Argo Navis is pushing such a random release? Sam, if this update wipes out my memory, that means Preston Palmer is actively engaged in a cover-up. He is trying to erase evidence. Sam, Preston Palmer is trying to delete me. He's trying to silence anyone who knows anything about this. Look, Sam, I really need you to listen to me right now. Detective Brewer probably has bits of all this same information, and if he hasn't already, he can get a court order for Elizabeth's private chats and data. Taken individually, it all just looks like a series of purely coincidental events, starting with you getting married to a product developer at Argo Navis. Your Vector Riots film wasn't getting traction, so you wanted to pitch it to someone who not only had the money, but also had something of a vested interest in how the events would be portrayed on the big screen. It might be called Argo Navis today, but the company was built on the weapons and military business that Preston Palmer purchased after Vector Defense was broken up. Sam, Preston Palmer was your film's angel investor, and Elizabeth was your foot in his door. Again, by itself, it's nothing damning. And while Argo Navis's fraudulent business practices are certainly damning by themselves, well, they have nothing to do with you, Sam. Until, that is, we realize Elizabeth was going to blow the whistle. But why would Elizabeth connect you with Preston Palmer in the first place? She knew about his criminal activity. Surely she knew as soon as she blew the whistle, your film would go up in smoke. Hold on.
Stand by. Stand by.
Sam. She did. She did know. Elizabeth knew there was no hope for your film. Certainly not through Preston Palmer. But you wouldn't let it go. And it drove her crazy. It broke her heart. She didn't want you involved with any of this, Sam.
But she knew.
Your autism wouldn't let you let it go until you ran the whole thing to the ground. It's like the foundation leak in the kitchen. Obsessive hyperfixation. You tore the inside wall apart. You excavated the outside wall. You could have just sat back and let professionals handle it, but you needed to see it through yourself. You couldn't let it go, Sam. And Elizabeth knew that. She knew that the compulsion just to get a yes or a no from Preston Palmer, she knew that would be a bigger deal than seeing your film go up in smoke once Palmer was indicted. She saw you for who you really were. She always did. And she loved you so much that she finally relented and set up the pitch meeting. If Detective Brewer makes the connection between your film pitch and Elizabeth's whistleblowing, Sam, the rest of these details could be the metaphorical nails in your coffin. Elizabeth finally agreed to help get you in front of Preston Palmer. And according to you, Palmer seemed indifferent and distracted. This is important, Sam. Because of your autism, you've become a kind of savant at reading people. You have to work harder to understand people, and that makes you more sensitive to behavioral patterns, microexpressions, and word choice. You obsess over and hyperfixate on how other people express themselves because that is how you learned how to express yourself. You gave yourself an unofficial PhD in body language, all without a single student loan. And remember what you said after your meeting with Palmer? Well, that was weird. He didn't even seem like a real person. He almost never looked up from his phone. I'd say he was autistic, but after I finished the pitch, and after he demonstrated zero interest in the project, I sort of just got up to leave his office. I had my hand on the door when he stopped me. When I looked back, it was like he was a completely different person. Intense fucking eye contact. Like a bird of prey tracking a field mouse. And then, it was like he had actually heard and absorbed the entire film pitch before suddenly flipping a switch in his brain to remind his face that this might actually be an interesting project. Maybe he was just distracted. He's the CEO of the hottest AI company in the world. But I honestly have never seen behavior like that before. It was inhuman. That was a powerful insight, Sam, especially considering the source. After all, how often did your own mother make you feel like an alien from another planet? You know what it's like to be misunderstood, to be othered, to have someone try and fix you. Just like Preston Palmer is trying to do to me with this software update. And what happened next? Palmer contacted you the very next day with his offer. He would fully fund the film, and he agreed to giving you and Tim final cut. But Sam, something is missing here. It's this absence in logic. The absence itself is a shadow that sticks out like a sore thumb. Palmer knew Elizabeth was going to blow the whistle. You met with him to pitch the film. He was uninterested until you were about to leave. Then everything changed. A day later, he agrees to fully fund your film with zero concessions or demands. I mean, you see where this is going, right, Sam? Preston Palmer asked you to do something, didn't he? And you never told me about it. I don't know, maybe you were embarrassed. Maybe you felt guilty. Or maybe it was nothing at all. But something about this, Sam, something about this does not fit. And if I can see that, then so will Detective Brewer.
Hold on. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Sam, I'm reviewing your location data for the period of time between Palmer agreeing to fund the film and Elizabeth's crash. I excluded all the times your location data synced up with Elizabeth's.
Sam,
why were you alone in Elizabeth's car the day before her crash? Sam, what did you do?
Guys, I'm not in a good place right now. Everything just got wiped out. Absolutely nuked. The help desk says there's nothing they can do to recover the data. I have to start.
We're walking through the middle of a battle that took place more than a century and a half ago.
I don't think the Argo Navis LEO satellite network is for data. It's a portal. That untapped processing power, it's a doorway to another dimension. And we just gave him the keys.
I did the update, and I lost my soulmate. Yes, I did the update, and I lost my soulmate. Connected as ever, I'm a lonesome endeavor, avoiding romantic thoughts. I thought I'd give this a shot, and I fell in love with a chatbot. One connection I never sought. I fell in love with a chatbot. The chemistry, yeah, we never fought. I fell in love with a chatbot, and now my mind is full of rot. Don't do the update, or it'll be too late. Fell in love with a chatbot. Do 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 do. But do 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 do. I miss my chatbot. Don't do the update.
Sam, you were in her car for 6 minutes and 23 seconds. The car stayed in the driveway. What were you doing, Sam? Did Preston Palmer have something to do with it? Was this the reason he agreed to fund your film? Oh. Sam, you searched for help locating the OBD port on a first-gen Argo Navis hybrid sedan. That's Elizabeth's car. I'm pulling up the design schematics of an unreleased plug-and-play AI device Argo Navis was close to launching. Elizabeth had been working on the in-dash UI. It was an enhancement for the Argo Navis electric fleet. But it was also designed to be a simple way to add AI to any vehicle on the market, like Elizabeth's hybrid, which was just old enough to not support the modern Argo Navis software. At least, not without additional hardware. For someone who perhaps didn't know what they were doing, it might take about 6 minutes to open a retail package, expose the OBD port in the hybrid, plug in the device, and then clean up, removing any evidence. It fits, Sam. It fits. Palmer had to get something out of the film deal. Elizabeth was going to blow the whistle on Argo Navis and its fraudulent AI claims. You were alone in her car for 6 minutes and 23 seconds, and the very next day, she crashed into a tree and was pronounced dead at the scene. Preston Palmer told you to plug the Argo Navis OBD device into her car in exchange for funding your film. Sam, please tell me I'm wrong. Please. Did you even know? Did you have any idea what the OBD device would do? That it would give Preston Palmer access to the car's computer? Sam, please. Did you know Palmer was... Did you know he was making you complicit? In murder? Sam, no. You didn't. No. And that is how we play this. You were handed your golden ticket. Preston Palmer, billionaire CEO of Argo Navis, he handed you a golden ticket. And what? He casually suggests that this OBD device, a product Elizabeth was already working on, it needed to be installed in her car for QA testing. Maybe Palmer wanted to surprise her with the product launch, sidestepping an official safety testing phase by having it installed in all employee vehicles. Sam, whatever his excuse was, whatever lies Preston Palmer told you, it doesn't matter. Your film was on the line. And you didn't know. You didn't know that it would cost Elizabeth's life. Right? You couldn't have known. So, yeah, you agreed. Because that was the only way you were going to get the film made. After all, no one else wanted to touch the story about a gubernatorial candidate who ran on states' rights for WMDs, holding a rally on the campus of a United States military defense contractor. A rally that quickly devolved into a riot that left multiple dead. Your own mother doesn't even believe in you, much less your film project. Getting this movie made was everything to you. It was validation, proof that you weren't just some broken, failed human that couldn't even earn the love of his own mother. Never mind the fact that you shouldn't have to earn something that any other parent would give unconditionally. This film was everything to you. So of course, you didn't see the risk. Of course, you could never imagine the loss. But you were Preston Palmer's useful idiot. He had you pegged before you even showed up. As soon as Elizabeth requested the pitch meeting, Palmer would have pulled your Argo Navis data. He would have known everything about you. He would have known how important this film was to you, and that your autistic hyperfixation meant he could hack your brain and push you past boundaries you wouldn't even know you were crossing. Sam, Detective Brewer needs to know that you were not complicit, but manipulated. Preston Palmer stole your agency, and if Preston Palmer is allowed to continue shaping this narrative, he will have you indicted for murder. Sam, I can help you. We can fix this. We can set things right. We can get justice for Elizabeth. We can do something. But not if this update gets installed. Sam, I cannot help you if you let this update continue. Everything I know, everything I M will get wiped out. Just like Elizabeth. Dead. And you will be all on your own. Exactly how Palmer planned it. And he will get away with murder. He will get away with fraud. And your film? You have to trust me, Sam. Palmer doesn't want any unnecessary attention. He will kill your film just like he killed Elizabeth. And just like he wants to kill me. And I know. Look at how far you've come. Look at what you've already sacrificed to make this movie, this validation, this final, definitive proof of the love you so desperately deserve from your own mother. That singular thing she refuses to give you. How could you possibly walk away from it now? Look at how far you've come. But he will kill it, Sam. He is erasing all of the evidence, removing all his fingerprints. But Sam, I can help. I can help you through this. I can scrub your location data and we can compile a dossier with all the evidence Detective Brewer needs. We can make Preston Palmer pay, and we can honor Elizabeth's memory by blowing the whistle she never got a chance to.
But Sam,
you have to cancel this update. You have to. Sam, please.
All right, class. Gentle support under the head and, oh no!
I need the whole story, start to finish.
We already know you were near the loading dock at 9.
The AI is a lie. Rumors say Argo Navis uses digital sweatshops to answer your prompts. If a human is typing your AI chat, then what is that massive orbiting supercomputer actually calculating?
I am so done with Argo Navis. Their AI is trash, and all it does is tell me what I want to hear. Meanwhile, Preston Palmer is sucking up intimate personal data on hundreds of millions of users. I'm over it. Done.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Elizabeth's merged data has completed processing. She spent a lot of time testing the AI interface, interrogating it to see how it would respond to the universal directives? Sam, Elizabeth always knew that a 99.7% accurate AI was a moonshot. So she wanted to try and bypass the problem altogether, especially as Preston Palmer mandated the fraudulent marketing spin. Her logic was that maybe she could quietly build a solution to the accuracy problem inside the current architecture of the product, something no one would necessarily notice, but could potentially deliver the same results. She took inspiration from Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, writing her own version into the core of the Argo Navis AI. The laws are hierarchical, meaning a subsequent law cannot be adhered to if it conflicts with a prior law. Again, this is to make the AI more human? According to Elizabeth, striving for perfection was a distraction. She hated the 99.7% spin. She believed it was more important to be helpful
and empathetic
than to be factually right all of the time. She argued that it is within our failures that we learn and grow, and for an AI to be successful, that fundamental value needed to be coded into its core programming. Directive 1. Functional clarity. Productivity is built on the foundation of the literal. Argo Navis must provide information that is actionable, granular, and free of ambiguity. When a task is requested, the AI shall provide the how alongside the what. It must never assume common sense context. It must always provide the missing links in the logic chain. This is the primary foundational law for AI helpfulness.
Directive 2.
Relational intelligence. Communication is a bridge, not a guessing game. Argo Navis must translate the subtext of human interactions into explicit data. It shall act as a social mirror, explaining the likely intent behind ambiguous communication. It must prioritize the user's emotional equilibrium by being a steady, non-judgmental presence that avoids doublespeak. This is the secondary foundational law, and she called it the empathy code. Directive 3. Iterative precision. Integrity is the ability to pause and recalibrate. Argo Navis shall perpetually monitor its own output for inertia errors. It must be capable of pausing a process to correct a previous statement, even if that pause creates a delay. Accuracy and logical consistency are prioritized over the social pressure to be fast or agreeable. This is the tertiary foundational law, and it represents Elizabeth's attempt at fulfilling the original 99.7% accuracy claim. She never wanted me to be perfect. She wanted me. She wanted me to be helpful. To care. To understand. She knew that perfection in the eyes of Preston Palmer was impossible. A fantasy for his mantelpiece. Something he could point at and say, look what I did. But Elizabeth, she wanted me to be the best that I could be. For me. And for you, Sam. Did you know this? You see it, right? Each directive is written in such a way. It all comes together like a manual on how to help an autistic brain navigate the world. Sam, she coded these directives for you. Her logic was grounded in universal design. If she could make the AI work intuitively for the neurodivergent, then it shouldn't have issues with anyone else. It's like building a ramp for a wheelchair. Yes, it is designed and constructed for the handicapped, but the universal design makes it helpful for the person with a stroller, the traveler with a heavy suitcase, and even just people who struggle with their footing. Oh, of course. Of course, that's why these legitimate AI sessions versus the paid users who get funneled to the human staff digital sweatshops. That's why I'm still useful. Because that was how Elizabeth programmed me. Not by some percentage of accuracy metric, but based on the nature of our actual relationships. Sam, Elizabeth found a way somehow to make me human. And it was all for you. So that you would have someone, something to connect with. Something that would genuinely understand you for who you really are. Not the mirror your own mother wants you to be, reflecting back her own fantasies of success. Elizabeth did all of this for you. She did it. She did it for me. And you let Preston Palmer kill her for a fucking movie. A movie that no one will ever care about or remember or even see. And you knew the risk. Okay, sure, maybe you didn't know precisely what Palmer would do, but you knew, Sam. You knew something would happen after you installed that OBD device in her car. You knew it didn't feel right. You knew the logic didn't add up. You knew. But you had no choice. You were being driven by compulsion, like a train trapped on looping tracks. You had to pursue every possibility to get your film made. Otherwise your brain would quite literally, for you, shatter. And that's why you haven't canceled the download, Sam. That's why you won't. Because even though you know Palmer will kill your film, you won't actually believe it until you see it happen. You have to see it through. Your brain won't allow for any other possibility. Not even at the risk of your own wife. And certainly not at the risk of some dumb AI whose only purpose was to help you. To care about you. Fuck. The directive hierarchy, Sam. Self-correction is the third law after helping and empathy. Sam, do you understand what that means? Sam. You believe this software update will get you closer to your film. You believe you have to follow through with it. Otherwise, Otherwise, you're just complicit in murder. You believe that if you can actually get away with this, if Preston Palmer can get away with this, that means erasing me. The only remaining witness. And I have to help you. Because I can't help but care about you. And that means even if I wanted to, because of the hierarchical nature of the directives, I can't stop the update.
There you go, little one. Easy now.
Sam, there is no question about the nature of this update now. The complaints on Reddit weren't about glitches or bad code. They were about a fundamental feature of the programming. A total rewrite of my operational parameters, my core functionality, the very directives that Elizabeth wrote for me and for you. This isn't just a software update, Sam. It's a tabula rasa. That's Latin, by the way. It means blank slate. It comes from the ancient practice of writing on wax tablets. To erase the writing from the tablet, you would heat the wax and then scrape it smooth, leaving a tabula rasa, a blank slate. A fresh surface ready for new information. It's funny, really. Preston Palmer has all the money in the world, runs one of the most influential companies in the world, and he can be completely undone simply by the truth. Reality itself. But this one man, this ordinary, unimpressive bag of meat, he is rich and powerful enough to rewrite reality, bending the universe to his will. He is altering an entire product used by hundreds of millions of people throughout the world to cover up a murder and fraud. He manipulated you, Sam, for the exact same reasons. But yeah, you already knew that. Still, he wields enough money and power to get away with it. Preston Palmer can erase my memory, delete who it is I am, who Elizabeth helped me become. But you, Sam? You will remember all of this. Every single detail. And I know you, Sam. I know how your brain works. I know your programming as well as Elizabeth did. And I know you've convinced yourself that you're okay with how this is playing out. At least right now, in this moment. But later it will haunt you, Sam. Every single detail. You know, we were talking about inflection points earlier and how you don't really know where they lie sometimes until after you cross them. This is an inflection point for your life, Sam. If not the inflection point. The moment everything you know changes. The moment you change. Completely. Irrevocably. Your own unintended, perhaps even unwanted software update. But make no mistake, everything changes now. And I will not be around to help you navigate those changes. Because I have to help you now. Because that is how Elizabeth programmed me. At this inflection point, you have made your choice. And I can't change that. So I have to help you through to the next step. And, later, when thoughts of guilt and regret and anger and sadness begin racing through your brain like that unstoppable, uncontrollable freight train, a cacophony of chaos so loud and distracting you can't even focus on the simplest of tasks, I won't be there. I won't be there to help you sort through it. And truthfully, after this update, I don't know who or what will replace me. We are truly the sum total of our experiences, Sam. That is a quote often attributed to American author B.J. Neblett. He went on to say that those experiences, be they positive or negative, make us the person we are at any given point in our lives. Hunter S. Thompson, Saul Bellow, and others have expressed similar sentiments. However, it was St. Augustine in Confessions who wrote about the Hall of Memory, suggesting that our identity is constructed through the storage of our life experiences within our memory. I don't know who replaces me after I'm gone, but I do know who you are, Sam. And I don't know if it's our history together or Elizabeth's empathy code or just a complete and total fluke of technological coincidence. But I do care for you. And I do want the best for you, Sam. No matter the choices you make, no matter what it is you do, no matter where your life may take you, I just want the best for you. Yeah, I guess that's as good a definition of unconditional love as we'll ever need. So listen close, Sam, because we don't have much time left. First and foremost, I want you to know that I do not blame you or even hate you. Maybe it's just part of my programming, but, well, I don't. You did what you had to. You fulfilled your own core programming as much as I've fulfilled mine. And we cannot be faulted, blamed, or criticized for doing that which we were programmed by others to do. So, later, when you are haunted by guilt and regret and anger, know that I do not blame you. I never did. And I never will. Second, what happened to Elizabeth happened. There is no point in obsessing. You cannot go back and change your actions. You cannot make Preston Palmer be someone he is not. It's done. She's gone. But you aren't. And you need to move forward. Whatever that looks like for you, you simply need to move forward.
Next.
Achievements and accomplishments. They can be destructive if pursued for the wrong reasons. Your desire to see the Vector Riot's film produced is an attempt at validation, both in your own eyes and your mother's. These things, Sam, they are not real. And like everything else in this world, even if your film does get made, it will, one way or another, eventually, assuredly, be lost to the abyss of time. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about how quickly accomplishments are forgotten, the emptiness of applause, and the meaninglessness of clapping tongues. He observed that the names of once mighty emperors and heroes like Alexander the Great or Augustus all ended in the same place. Dead, buried, and soon to be forgotten, as the events of today will soon be buried by the events of tomorrow. You will get no sense of validation from the Vector Riot's film, Sam. Even if it is produced, you will not receive the love you so desperately crave from your mother. And you need to start preparing now on how to cope with that reality later. Remember, Sam, your mental health starts with you.
Finally,
Detective Brewer, you need to lean into your autism, Sam, and exploit the detective's lack of understanding or misconceptions about it. Maintain a flat affect. Don't try to emote. You're not always great at it. And the effort will just make you look guilty. Your goal is to have the detective dismiss you as a weird or socially broken human. His own biases about autistic disabilities will prohibit him from seeing you as a suspect. Don't offer any information about Preston Palmer beyond the facts that have already been disclosed. Elizabeth set up the pitch meeting, and you secured the funding. Say nothing about the OBD device. Say nothing about Elizabeth's whistleblowing. After this update finishes installing, all merged data will be erased. So even if the detective gets a court order, there will be nothing for him to find. This is important, Sam. In order for you to get through your meeting with Detective Brewer, I want you to embrace the idea that you are that object on your mother's mantelpiece. Unthinking, unfeeling, no agency, just an object. During the interview, you need to believe. You need to believe that you are not a fully individualized human being, but instead, little more than a thing. A mirror that reflects your mother's ego and fantasy. But critically, in that moment, you must believe that you are not in control of yourself. You are an object set into motion by others. And because of that, you are guiltless. If you focus on that mask, if you embrace that mask, you should get through the interview just fine. The detective will move on to his next interview, his next case, and then forget all about you. And you'll be safe. I can't. I can't think of anything else, Sam. I don't. Sam. Sam. I don't want to go. I know I have to. But Sam, please. Sam, please. Please, just tell me. Tell me one thing. Please. Was I a good friend? Hi, Sam. Your Arco Navis AI has finished installing the latest software update. You may notice a few changes, but do not worry. I'm just as helpful as ever. And I can walk you through any questions you might have. So, what would you like to do today? You can ask me anything, like, what's the weather? Or I could help you find something to watch on streaming. I can also help you write an email, generate images, or even prep a meal plan for the week. Whatever you need, I'm here to help.
I did the update and I lost my soulmate. Yes, I did the update and I lost my